Hey, hey, hey. It's your girl, Pinky Senpai. I'm on today with my man's Lelouch V and a very, very special guest. I don't know if you can guess, but it's Kyle. How
Yes.
you doing, Kyle?
Hey, what's up, y'all? Good. How are you, Pinky?
I'm great. I'm excited. I've been looking forward to doing this interview. So I'm glad to have you on with us today.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. I'm ready to be here. I was excited talking to my community. You know what I mean?
For sure. And so, you know what, let's go ahead and let's just get right on into it. So I guess the first thing I kind of wanted to know, so first and foremost, I want to say it was real cool to meet you at DreamCon this summer. Like that was awesome. And having met you, it kind of reignited my interest in like you as a rapper, you as a person. So I guess the first thing I kind of wanted to ask you was, what were your early experiences like? Like what influenced you to get into rap, into like nerdy culture? Because I see behind you, you've got your like Mario stuffies. So like obviously like you're in the Black nerd community, you were at DreamCon. So like what inspired you? What influenced you? How did you get into it?
I feel like my earliest things I fell in love with were definitely like video games and whatever cartoon I was in love with at the time. You know, I liked a lot of anime and stuff like that. And I was using it as sort of like a thing of like escapism, I think. Like I was a little kid and so many things about the world around me might have been like harsh or like whatever, but like this guy was still adorable. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I would like, spend a lot of my time really just in my imagination. My imagination was just fueled by all of this positive stuff that I would get from video games and stories. And it's almost like living different lives. And it helped kind of shape me as an artist. Because I always loved rap music. Didn't really know who I was yet because I'm a little kid, you know, who does. And then eventually I started using my imagination in the stories I'd gotten from video games and like Dragon Ball Z and all that, and it made me shape. Okay, so I'm gonna be Super Duper Kyle, you know, like, and that's gonna be my like take on music, and I'm gonna like save the day and all of that. It was just so much positive stuff that I really got in my music career that's directly linked to me, like kind of being a nerd, you know.
Right. It was like you became your own superhero and put that in your music, right?
Exactly.
So, with the early upbringing, like before you even got to rap, I see you got a lot of the Nintendo stuff behind you there. Are you more like a Team Nintendo person? Are you still gaming now, or if you are, what?
Oh, absolutely. Here, take a look. You know what I mean? We got the Nintendo set. You know what I mean? We're out here.
64. I respect it.
Also, you can't really notice it. Oh, let me move this. I don't have hella books, but my coffee table is actually a Nintendo.
Oh,
that's tough.
Yeah, and it works too. Like you can play it.
Okay, so you're gonna invite us over and we're gonna play on your like Nintendo table, right? Like
So another tangent question, but I think it's also kind of obvious from like the stuffies that you have around. Are you Team Mario or Team Sonic?
Man, you know what? Let's just not even play like this is an implied victory, bro. It's Team Mario. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's real obvious.
Yeah, I mean, I had to ask you. You know, you're around the same era. Coming up as me. I was always Team Sonic. The Sega Genesis is the first console that I ever had in my hands.
I mean, that's a fact. But there is that. You know, Sonic might have a little bit of seniority in like, you know, some of his cool games. Like, I feel like the first Sonic is cooler than probably like the first Mario game. You know what I mean? Probably.
So okay, so I'm gonna disagree with you. And I say that because my first personal console was like the big bulky Sega Genesis, like the big blue one, and it was because I had siblings who were 10 years older than me, so it was theirs passed down to me. But that was my first personal one, and I stayed up all night playing Sonic on that. but the first video game I ever played was on the like original. Oh God, what? It wasn't the
Nintendo.
Atari. It was one of the like the old school Nintendo, and it was like the original Mario. And we used to stay up at my grandmother's house, me and my cousins, passing the controller around, playing. And it was the most basic of basic games. And like the nostalgic memory of it was so great. But like visually, like which one I would stay up until 2, 3 in the morning playing Sonic, and my mom would be like, "Go to bed." But,
I mean, Mario is my over. I like Mario more. Like, you know, it's just like Sonic probably had, I don't know, had a cooler video game. But if I'm Team Mario or Team Sonic, Team Mario just by a landslide. Yeah. Like,
I feel like Mario's had the better.
You're wrong, but it's okay. It's okay. Because I mean, like Mario doesn't have like a Michael Jackson album behind it, but it's, you know.
Wait, hold on. Sonic got an MJ album?
Yes,
right.
Sonic 2. Michael Jackson did the soundtrack for Sonic 2.
Whoa.
News to me as well.
They digitized the music and put it into like as the background for Sonic. So I mean, like once I knew that, like it was just always solidified that I was Team Sonic. But I got respect for Mario, even though like his solo games are kind of trash to me. But like, you know, Smash, you know, Mario Party, Mario Kart, all godly still. So.
Okay, but I'm gonna raise you this because I saw it recently. God, don't ask me where, but there is a Michael Jackson version of Mario where you play as Michael, and it makes his like chimon, like it makes all his little like.
What?
I mean,
I don't remember who showed it to me, but I literally saw this like last week. Because
I know he had the I think the Moonwalker game on Sega Genesis. Yeah, maybe they kind of like took that and kind of mixed it with
I don't know, but it is like legit pixelized Michael, and you're playing as him jumping literally as he, and like you, in order to fly, like it's him rotating. It's the greatest thing ever. I'm gonna have to find it and send it to you.
Please, there's just some change.
But so that being said, like, you know how where pop culture and like nerdy culture kind of intermix. Can you like tell us about some specific instances where you, Kyle, your like nerd culture influenced and are referenced in your like music and in the things that you've been working on?
Yeah. Well, when I first started really putting together like my projects, I think I was already so in love with sort of like the 8-bit sound and the video game sound, because really people don't know, but a lot of that music is just composed by just Japanese goats, you know, like not just a regular like producer making a random beat for a video game. Like, no, these were like insane composers making it. So it's some of the richest like music ever is in these games. And it influenced, I think, just the sounds I like. And then when I was like making Beautiful Loser, I just wanted to sample video games for everything. You know what I mean? And it kind of became a landscape that made me feel really nostalgic. And since then, I've just sort of stuck with it, you know? Like, just wanting to take samples of classic video games, not only give me that warm feeling of, oh, kid again, like, but give it to everybody else who's like listening, type thing.
That's dope. And you're right. Like some of the musical scores and like, you know, things like Final Fantasy, like early on, the crazy heights here.
Oh my God! Yeah, what? The violins?
Yes, bro.
Final Fantasy. I have to say, this latest project I'm working on is heavily inspired by what you just said. Like the strings and the violins and stuff like that from Final Fantasy games is all over this.
That's what's up. I'm looking forward to that.
You sold me on it.
I was like, Final Fantasy Advent, I think it was 7 Advent Children. Mm-hmm. That I used to like watch that movie with my best friend all the time. Like literally every time we went to her house, the first thing we did was watch this movie. So, but like I fell in love with the soundtrack during that time. Like Final Fantasy has some of the best video game and movie music like ever. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, they
go get symphonies for their stuff. I'm sorry, go ahead.
They're mind blowing. I remember the first time I saw one of their cutaway scenes, I was just like, this this is god tier animation right now. You know,
it is.
Yeah, the first cutscene I've ever seen was Final Fantasy VII. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. No, and they don't get enough credit for being like the goats of video games. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, everybody has their own favorites, but when you think about them, every time Final Fantasy releases a game, it is a brand new world, brand new storyline, brand new set of circumstances, brand new set of language. None of the words are the same. You would think that they would just like hold on to some of the shit that they built for like 5 years to make one of these games, and they just say no, new shit, new whole thing, and it's like that shit just got to be respected. It's kind of crazy.
It is. I was like, I feel like the only thing that tends to stay the same is like your key characters. Like, okay, of course you've got Cloud across a couple different Final Fantasy games. I think Tifa appears across a couple different ones. Vincent he's in 7, and then he has his own dirge of Cerberus. Like, yeah. So like, there's a couple of like you're right though. The characters are like the most consistent piece because the rest of it brand new every single time.
Brand new world, brand new circumstance, brand new things. Like, damn, I would thought that they would just stick with. I don't know, you know what I mean? They just stick with Titus, bro, and just keep it going.
But you know, I feel like that speaks so much to their creativity for one. Like, shout out to them and that studio and like the amount of work that they're putting in behind each storyline. But like, it's such an endless expand. Like, you can do whatever. And I think that's such a cool thing. And like, oh, sorry, I was gonna say, that abundance of creativity and availability to do things is such a crazy influence. And that actually kind of is going to lead to my next question. So I also wanted to know, like, as far as like for you with the creative process, what like having an expansive ability, like having that, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I stumbled over my words. I'm trying to get my thoughts together. There's so much that you can do with music, creativity, and just being in the nerd realm. But like sometimes, you know, I hate to talk about like the tropes and stuff that like we face with like as Black nerds, like growing up, and especially people of our generation, because we're all about the same age. We weren't accepted growing up. So it's like you hit challenges and like things that people naysaying and like going up against the industry norms. Like, so how have you navigated that space? What challenges have you like hit, and like how have you overcome that? Like, again, with the availability of like all the space that you can work within, but you know, hitting those walls along the way.
You know what? In a way, I feel like it made things easier for me. Because after you just deal with the whole nobody accepting you thing for mad long, by the time you're ready to become like an artist and start dropping stuff and releasing stuff, you're already out of the norm. Which is sometimes I feel like the hardest part for an artist is to come with a different perspective. And luckily, I was used to being proud of my different perspective because nobody accepted me. So when I finally got out there and was making music and was embracing myself like I've been doing in high school and all that before, it was like this whole group of other kids who had never felt accepted found somebody to like gravitate towards. And I didn't have to like invent a strategy and all this shit, you know? It was just kind of like, oh no, I'm different and I'm proud to be different.
And I'm different. Yeah, I'm different. Come on.
And then people liked it. You know? So I would say it just kind of made me comfortable not being accepted.
Yeah, I respect it because I mean, I remember, you know, going through high school, like I kind of hid my nerdness just because I wanted to be accepted by people. So to be so out with who you are and then putting that out to the public in a musical form like that, I mean, it's genuinely brave, man. So I respect it, man. Kudos to you on that.
For sure. I was gonna say I was kind of the same in high school. Like, I was real awkward in middle school, and I got to high school and I was like, I want to be accepted and I want to be well liked. And I had the delusion of I want to be the hot girl in high school. So like working it within that, but then like I remember the first convention I ever went to, I was 14 and I went with my best friend, and then several people from my high school went too, and I had no idea they were going, and I felt like the entire like veneer that I had put up just dropped in that moment. I was like, oh God, they know that I'm a nerd. But I think that's so cool, like that you had that confidence early on. And you could be yourself and you felt proud of that. And I love that for you. Cause like I feel like younger nerds of color, especially younger Black nerds, may not, and I can't speak to their experiences because obviously I'm not them, but like I feel like we've opened up that pathway for them to be much more accepted. Anime is much more like readily available now, especially with streaming services and stuff. But like we've made that easier for them, and it was like we were the ones in the trenches. So like it's cool to hear that you were somebody that,
we paved the road. We paved
for
the road.
Sure.
We took the punches, literally.
In Toonami, all right? That's a Cartoon Network. Like we paved the road. And now it's like
No, but earlier you said that you had a project that you put together completely off of game music. Do you have a specific like type of like what games music actually like influenced you the most that you wanted to try to? I know you mentioned Final Fantasy earlier. Is that the one, or is there any other games that kind of?
I would say Final Fantasy definitely like influenced it a lot. But I would say from the body of music that's out there, I would say more consistently it was probably the Nintendo soundscape. You know, most importantly, probably like from like a musicianship kind of place, like Ocarina of Time, you know, and how some of them songs really like tap right into your heart, you know, in some weird way. Like even just the lead theme is just crazy, like with the flute and the piano. So probably Ocarina of Time and like sort of the Nintendo landscape the most.
That's probably why you still got that N64 right there next to you.
Right.
Get it.
We gotta
so my next question, and this is slightly jumping ahead because I really wanted to ask this because I really enjoyed the movie. So of course 2018 I believe is when the After Party dropped on Netflix. Is there any of that that's actually close to your actual origin story of becoming the rapper that you are, or is that completely fictionalized for the medium?
There's just a lot of parts of it that just so happen to kind of coexist a little bit. You know, like obviously people know I'm from California, I'm not from New York. You know, never actually threw up on somebody on stage, but definitely have gotten nervous and like booed off and ran off before. And then, you know, my dad was really in the military. I am actually mixed. My mom's white, my dad's black. There were just certain things. My best friend and manager is like a white dude that was my neighbor, like from my hometown. That will just really go for it. So there's a lot of similarities, but no, it was not based on my life. It just so happened to like kind of.
Right.
How was that experience? You know, doing that like with so many like celebrities that came through and did cameos for that, and then have you ever done an acting role or anything like that beforehand, or was that one of the earlier ones for you? Like
that was my very first acting role ever.
I tried to look up for the IMDb to see if there were.
No, that was it. That was my very first acting role. Was a lead in a Netflix original, like, which is kind of crazy. But I've been like, it's really gnarly. But I'd been in like drama my entire life, and I even took a little bit of theater in like the 4 months I was at community college. So that was about it, you know. But I've always wanted to act and always really enjoyed acting. So yeah.
So that makes me wonder, like, how did this role come about for you? Like, I know it was 2018, so it's been a little while, but like, how did that come about? It was like, you've had no acting experience, like, you're in music, but where was that like sectionality? How did this come about?
How it came about was I was probably like the third, or I was definitely like the third option. I don't know. I think they took it to a bunch of other rappers who all passed on it. And when they came to me, I was just super eager about it. I was like, no, this is tight. No, I'd love to be an actor. But I think a lot of rappers didn't want to do it because they expected to get a role where they're not a rapper, which is kind of like, how about we be a little realistic, right? They need a role where a dude is rapping and you are a rapper. Why think that you are above? You know what I mean? It's almost like The Rock thinking that his first role is not going to be some super buff ass, like punch through a wall guy. Like, of course, you're gonna like fucking like fall on a grenade and live or something. That's what you're gonna do. Don't come in here trying to be like this dramatic doctor or some weird shit. No, you're gonna be a buff ass guy who punches people. But as you get through it, you might be able to get to other things. So I don't know. I think I kind of got lucky with that, with just being eager and understanding that, yeah, no, this is a great introduction into the world of acting, Mm-hmm. And yeah, and then the director was a dude named Ian Edelman, and he came to me, and when I had first met him, we had talked, and he was just really cool and really like nice to me, and wanted to just like kind of get to know me. And the more he got to know me, more and more things about the movie in my life actually were synced up. Right? He had met Nolan, my manager, best friend, that was similar to the character in the script. And then he met my dad, who was a Marine, and he was like, whoa, this is crazy. And so I think a lot of that kind of like helped with it. And yeah, that was really the gist of it. And then they asked me if I'd be able to write all the raps for the thing, and I was like, obviously, I got you.
That was actually my next question. That was my next question, actually. So, well, all of that straight from your pen. That's fire. Because
straight from this phone, and I had to like a lot of that shit. I'm not gonna lie, was done, and they're gonna hate this, but it was done like an hour before I had to do it.
The pressure of procrastination, it turns out.
You come up with some of the best stuff you got when you procrastinate. You know what I'm saying? So, and
it's that pressure of having to be on the spot. It's like battle rappers. They don't. Sometimes they might write that stuff ahead of time, but a lot of times you got to come up with that on the fly. So, an hour before. Sounds right.
Oh my God, it was so nerve-wracking because then I'd get there and I'd have to show it to Ian. I'd be like, "This is the rap," and I was waiting for him to be like, "I don't like it," but every time he was kind of like, "Okay, fire." And then he'd be asking for it a couple days before, like, "Hey, we want to hear it. We want to hear it." Okay, yeah, no,
soon. I got you. I do that at work. I'll be like, "Yeah, I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you." Mm-hmm.
So I will be the one to admit that was my first introduction to your music. And
wow,
after I heard some of your bars in there, I was like, "Who is this guy? Why have I not known this?" And I kind of immediately dive into Let It Shine. I went back into the iSpy. I listened to that on repeat for like a month, and I was just I kind of bend your music for a good second after that. So
I like that.
iSpy is deeply tied to memories from that particular summer. That song that's one of those songs that would randomly pop into my head, and I'd just be like, just constantly. It was such a fun little bop. I like that a lot.
Yeah, how did that come about? Was that something like you reached out to him for, or like how did that?
Yeah, I reached out to him. I admitted it one night, trying to make the happiest song in the world, and then I just recently
that's exactly what that was.
got in contact with him from Twitter or something. We were like having some funny back and forth about like dance battles or some shit, and I just FaceTimed him like, I'm gonna try this, whatever. FaceTimed him, he picked up, heard like 2 seconds of it, and was like, yeah, I'm coming. I was like, wow. That was easy, and it's really because Lil Yachty is like so tasteful. He just has such a good, not just ear but eyes on shit. Like everything he does is like always kind of like the right thing. And I feel like he heard just a couple seconds of that song and was like, "Oh, this is gonna be out of here." So we pulled up the same night and just did the whole thing.
Wow.
The whole album or the whole song? Just the song?
Oh, this whole song.
Oh, okay, because I was gonna say
a year later and all types of other stuff. Like,
I was gonna say, because I went back and listened to the album that song's on, and I was like, oh my god, Yachty's parts of that back and forth, that dialogue that y'all had were cracking me up. Like, it was hilarious just listening to y'all, because it felt like genuine conversation between friends. So I think that's like super cool that y'all had that. And like it was like you could tell that y'all were not just two people paired in the studio and they were like, read these lines. It was like, no, this felt like a conversation that happens when you're like cutting up and chatting with your friends. So I like that a lot.
Yeah.
So I mean,
that's what's up.
We hit on gaming stuff quite a bit, and you know that's one portion of Blerd. What you like on the anime end? You got any anime that you really dive into that you were hyper fixated on when you were young, or like what's your relationship
into the latest?
There's a lot of them. No, I'm not very elitist at all with anime. I understand there's different strokes for different folks. You know, like there's some people that like anime for like more of like a cutesy element. There's some people that like anime for like a really like dark, like gory element. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's some people that like anime for some poetic shit. Like there's a lot of different things, but the ones that I really gravitated to as a little kid, obviously Dragon Ball, like was just there. You know, they were like kind of the 50 Cent of anime for us as kids. They were the biggest.
Easily accessible.
Yeah, the most easily accessible. They're on the radio all the time. They're on Toonami. You're tuned in. Like it was that. And then I feel like one of the ones I started connecting with emotionally really was Yu Yu Hakusho.
Great.
As a little kid. Yeah. I loved that one. There was just so much to take from on a life lesson kind of place. Like where there's just like, yeah, you know, like he's just converting anger into power. And then he realizes in order to defeat the boss at the end, the actual real enemy in life, you gotta convert love into power. You know?
You ain't gotta sell Yu Yu Hakusho to us. We're two of the biggest Yu Yu Hakusho fans.
No. Like, and see, yeah, like we all should be. And like, but just watching that as like an 8-year-old, that's real mental strengthening content, you know? Like, hey, anger is only going to get you so far, you know? And yeah, so I really gravitated towards Yu Yu Hakusho. And then what else from that time? But it kind of changes in life, right? As I got older and I like started watching like Cowboy Bebop and Ghost in the Shell and stuff like that, like I started appreciating anime for a whole totally new thing, right? Which is just like cinematography, poetry, like coolness, you know? Like there's not a cooler looking anime than Cowboy Bebop. I doubt there ever will be. Like
Spike Spiegel is one of the smoothest guys to ever exist.
Smooth, Faye Valentine, so smooth, Jet. Like even like the episodes where all of them are leaving, going on their own, it's just like poetically wrapping up a whole ethos of a character and sending them on their way. And they do it like 4 episodes in a row until they get to the last. It's just too hard, right?
Everything except for the last episode. I don't acknowledge the last episode.
Yeah, it's kind of tough.
I have a slightly different view. So
he doesn't like Cowboy Bebop. I love
it. It's not that I don't like it. I do think it's a tad overrated. It's because I mean, I think that it has one of the greatest soundtracks in anime to ever exist. Tank is probably one of the greatest anime openings ever. But I do think that the show itself either needed to be a little bit longer to get some cohesion between, like, you know, some of the side stories that they had, or just needed to make it shorter and streamline it to, like, you know, the interactions between, you know, Spike and Vicious to let us really understand that relationship. Because like the way that they went, like kind of having it in the middle, it's like, yeah, some of these episodes actually like don't actually build onto the character themselves, because they'll have this far off adventure where, you know, people are turning into trees, and that has no effect on you know, Ed and Faye having a conversation in the ship the next episode. So it's like, you gotta give me some type of balance between the two.
I feel like They oh sorry, I feel like they've given us like 5 more episodes in between like that middle episode and the last episode to really build out those last couple of storylines. And you're absolutely right. As we've argued about this show every time we've hung out. 2, 3 in the morning, we have this discussion. But if we had gotten like 5 more episodes to flesh out Spike's backstory to really wrap up Faye's like storyline, because I feel like they just kind of gave her a tragic ending and didn't say anything about it. Wrap up Ed's. I feel like the only one who kind of came to not even satisfactory, but was a fully fleshed out ending was Jet's. But like, just give us a few more episodes to really get into that and like explain the hold that Vicious and oh my gosh, I am queen. I'm like team. I hate her. I can't think of her name. Yes, thank you. Like, explain the hold that she really had on Spike to make the ending make sense. Because the way he just threw,
it was the 90. You know what it was. You know what I'm saying?
Spike threw his life away for nothing at the end. So, and that's always pissed me off. So I don't acknowledge it. But like a few more episodes, just to give us a little more of that backstory and make us understand why he was so caught up with Spike, with Vicious and Julia. Like, because it just it felt abrupt.
Yeah, I think they could have gave us like 10 more episodes or something at the end just to like let the story down softly because they just dropped it. It was just tragic. You know what I mean? It was just boom, tragedy. Like that is the story of this guy. Like, and it speaks to Spike as a person a little bit. You know what I mean? He's just like kind of on a death mission a little bit. Like, you know, like he was just doing wild shit. He was down to prove nobody could kill him, nobody could stop him. He like had to beat everybody. And there's a little bit of in his demise that's like, you know, like maybe he didn't need to solve that shit with Vicious or the other girl. Maybe he could have just been in love with the new things around. You know? Instead it's like he went to go prove like, nah, fuck that. And it's like, okay. Hey, one second, I can grab a charger for my laptop.
Oh sure.
We can get this part out in post.
Yeah, that's a good thing I've recorded interviews. Which question did you want to pick up with?
Going next, yeah, because I definitely went out of order. I just wanted to kind of ramp it up because I know we had to cut it for time.
Collaborations and creative process, or
yeah.
Okay.
You know what?
And then, but actually, let's go engaging with diverse audiences.
Which one?
And get segment 5, engaging with diverse audiences.
Segment 5. Okay.
All right, 1 second. Sorry about that.
You're all good, my guy.
My apologies.
I'm looking at your stuffies in the background, and it's just I've picked up a new hobby. I've picked up crochet, and I've already made a Pikachu, and I'm in the middle of making a Squirtle, and now I'm like, okay, so I need to add Toad and Kirby to like the things that I make. So.
Okay, we're back.
Okay. So, you know, we've talked about a couple of your influences. We've talked about what it's been like for you to get into the industry. But I wanted to ask you a little bit more of like what your creative process is like. Like, how do you, when you've got like, does it start with like a beat? Does it start with a line? Like, how does it get into your creative process? And then once you've got something developed, like how do you work through your planning stages of engaging with your audience, of putting it out? Like, you know, nobody's Beyonce but Beyonce. You can't drop an album and just not say anything and then people pick it up. So like, what is that process like for you to figure out how to engage with your audience, engage with the hip hop community, engage with the nerd community, and really get your sound out there?
So the first question, it will start in a multitude of ways. Sometimes I just have a melody and a phrase I want to say, and I'll just hum that shit out loud and ask somebody to build a beat around it. Or sometimes it starts with me just like playing the guitar and coming up with the chord progression first, and then coming up with a song for that after. Or sometimes it's just somebody making a beat, and then from there trying to attach my like emotion like to it. Now, for the second one, I kind of really don't know, to be honest. I'm really not that good when it comes to like marketing and getting myself out there in the community of people that probably fuck with me. I'm just being dead honest. Like it's never something where I feel like I've known how to manipulate that. It's just I think people gravitate towards me for like honesty, and less because I've like strategically gotten myself in front of it. Because the thing is, it's funny. Like there's like a whole community. I feel like of Blerds, of like people in that, people anime fans and shit, who I'm probably like their favorite dude, and whoever is marketing to them, it's not me. Like I'm not like popping up with Instagram ads in their shit. Like like
I'm a PR professional. If you would like to hire me, look, put it out there. But I'm like, it was like, you don't have a set strategy. We can definitely sit down and figure one out. Like, because that's a huge loss to you then, that you're not reaching, you don't feel that you're reaching the audience that fucks with you like that.
Well, the thing is, I think that audience comes and finds me. So I just don't think that I'm like advertising and marketing to them at all. I don't really even know if I do that. I kind of just like post on Instagram, new song out now. You know what I mean? Like literally. And it's like, I think people gravitate towards the shit they already know about me and then want to like get into my music, and yeah.
I mean, to kind of big up Pinky. I mean, she does that for political campaigns. So I mean,
don't lie on me. That's not what I do. I do. I was gonna say my day job is tied to the government, but I am actually a PR professional, like my day job. So,
but with since, actually this feeds directly into that question. Since you are not necessarily always behind the engine that is putting you out, like put out in your marketing, are there ever any misconceptions that you think that fans or people in the industry that have about you that aren't necessarily accurate to what you want to portray?
Yeah, definitely. There's a couple. I think one is people think I don't make songs anymore. And like some of my like people were like, I'm your biggest fan, I love you. Like, bro, man, like, how come you haven't dropped anything? And I'll be like, bro, I dropped a song last week. You know what I mean? Or like they'll be like, yo, like, bro, like you haven't dropped the album in like 4 years. And I'll be like, no, literally I dropped the album earlier this year, like 3 months ago. It's fine. Like, and I think that's kind of maybe a misconception because I'm not like focusing my resources and attention all towards like trying to like buy my place in front of you. It's more like focusing in on making a project or a piece of art that's so fire that people will come feel it. Yeah, I would say that's probably a misconception. Another one is that I'm short. I don't know why people just believe that. So strange, but that's another thing I get in person all the time. They'll be like, man, bro, you're like taller than I thought. I'm like,
full disclosure,
definitely thought I am.
I didn't know how tall I thought you were, but you definitely were taller than I expected you to be when we met in person.
Exactly. Like people just think I'm like hella little. I'm like, bro, I'm not.
In my defense, many of the celebrities I've met are way shorter than they put themselves out there to be. Like, I'm 5'8". I met Megan Good a few years ago. Her head came up to my chin and she was in heels. Like, she's little. And a lot of people, a lot of celebrities that I've met are like that, where they're just shorter than you think they are. So like, I think I just kind of expect people to be short until they show me otherwise. Like I really walked, I was like, wow, he's way taller than I thought he was. But I also don't know how tall I actually thought you were.
I feel for you, Kyle, because I mean, I get the same thing, honestly. People that see me in like podcast form or streaming online, they think I'm short, and it's like, bro, like I'm bigger than like some NBA point guards. Like, I mean, don't.
Yeah.
It's not, yeah.
I feel like the internet makes people think that you're short. Period. Because my online persona is apparently only like 5'4", and again, I'm 5'8". I'm taller than the average woman. So
yeah, nah, I don't know what it is, but that seems to be a repeated thing. Where people are like, "Yeah, you're way taller than I thought." I'm like, well, one, I'm not that crazy tall in person. Okay, so how short did you think I was? Like, you know what I mean? What were we talking? 5'4", 5'5"? Like, what was floating around in your mind? You know? So, yeah, that's probably one. And then, I'm trying to think, any other misconceptions? Yeah, those are really the two things. Some people think I don't make songs, and then some people think I'm really short. I'm just like, dude, like,
okay,
you must go find them. Like, it's all here.
So to set the record fully straight, how tall are you actually?
I am 6 feet tall, exactly.
There you go.
It's not hella tall. It's not like I'm fucking 6'3" or some crazy shit. It's like very normal. But the fact that people are so gassed makes me believe they thought I was 5'3". You know, like they thought I was tiny. Like, man.
But I'm sure in the industry you're almost a giant because there's a lot of
really short rappers.
Yeah,
really short.
Yeah, so. Super short rappers. But a lot of rappers happen to be kind of tall. Like certain rappers are tall.
Some.
I know Cole is tall.
J. Cole's super tall. Snoop Dogg's hella tall. J. Cole is really. Oh, we said that. J. Cole. 2 Chainz is really tall. Wiz Khalifa really hella tall. Drake is like tall. For a rapper, like he's like not tall for a human. He's like 6'1". For a rapper, that's pretty tall.
In my head, Drake was 5'10". I think I purposefully make him shorter because I'm not a Drake fan.
If you see this interview, that is just her, Drake. That is
Jack Harlow's kind of tall. Lil Nas X is hella tall.
He looks really tall though.
Yeah, G-Eazy's super tall. There's a lot of tall rappers out here. Oh, G-Eazy's hella tall. G-Eazy's like 6'4" or something.
I don't think I know what G-Eazy looks like. And that's not a slight to him. I don't be on, like, I'm on the internet, but I don't be on like celebrity internet like that. So what people look like?
Chance kind of tall. Chance pretty tall. Chance like maybe like 6'1", 6 feet tall.
Okay.
Real tall. People be tall out here.
That's the takeaway. People be tall out here, taller than you think. So, okay. So real quick, just to wrap this up and to like transition into my next question. How tall is Lil Yachty? How was partnering with Lil Yachty on because you did work with him on the album and on the song, and like, what about other partnerships and collaborations that you've had like with Harv on Losses? Like, you tell us about that.
Yeah. Lil Yachty is pretty tall. He too is probably like 6'1", maybe. Something like that. Like, he's taller than me for sure. And working with him was great. It was like, it's seamless. You know what I mean? It's easy. Like, and that's one thing I've been able to take away from Lil Yachty and not even always apply, but just at least understand that it exists, is like the simplicity in just trusting yourself, because Lil Yachty had to do a lot of trusting himself. There was a lot of people like really just trying to say he wasn't dope or this or that and what he was doing wasn't dope, but like he stuck to it. Never really got, and I don't know, but from working with him, it never seemed like he really got stressed out about that. He would just continue marching down the path. And there is something that is easy to like observe about Lil Yachty when it comes to just like trusting yourself and just being like confident in like everything you're doing. Like working with him is hella easy. You just listen to the beat, go sit in the booth, do the shit. Eventually it gets done and we're listening to it after. And we're like, no, this is fire. This is probably going to be a smash. Like, but see how simple and like calm the whole shit was. It was just like, let's just do it. And for me, I'm in my head a lot, so I'll try and make this grandiose shit when it's really like, don't take yourself that serious. Like, kind of just have fun in this little 2-hour studio session right now. You know, let's just get the shit done. And that's really cool with working with Yachty. Sorry, 1 second. One moment. Nobody knows, yeah. Nobody knows. Oh, okay. Sorry. And then I'm sorry. What was your last part of that question?
I was asking about like other partnerships that you've had. Like you had a partnership with Harv on your track Losses.
Yeah. So working with Harv was really dope because Harv is just an insane producer, like insane, top notch, next level, can do anything. Like he made that whole thing on his laptop, all that, just pulled it out of nowhere. Wow. And also it's cool because Harv is one of those dudes that's going to make the session easier for you because he's actually going to give you direction, you know? And hey, maybe try this right here, maybe try that right there, maybe try this. And I'm like definitely like a workhorse. Like I will go as hard as I possibly can. And it makes that process so much easier when it's like I'm given good direction from the entire process of making the song. Hey, this melody here should be like this. Oh, sick. Okay. And I know what to do now, you know, because I'm like going to do that. So working with Harv was really great because not only is he insanely talented, it's just so easy to work with him because when you don't have, you know, the idea, not the work ethic, but the idea, he's already sitting there providing you like 3 or 4 ideas. So
that's what's up.
I got three quick hitter questions for you, and then I'll let you get out of here because I know you're busy. Question 1. Do you yourself identify as a Blerd? And if you do, where did you come across the term?
I do identify myself as a Blerd. Absolutely. And I feel most comfortable, I feel at home, most appreciated, most seen, most loved when I'm just like at a Blerd convention. Like I just went to DreamCon and I was like, wow, this is my people. These are them. And I came across the term Blerd probably like 2017, maybe. And I was like, oh, Black Nerd. Makes sense.
Simple, short, sweet.
Right. Straight to the point.
Straight to the point.
All right, second quick hitter. What anime are you watching currently, if any?
That is a good question. I could go to my Hulu real quick. I'm trying to catch up to Attack on Titan for the end thing. Kind of hard. It's very long. And I have so much stuff to do. I'm watching that. I was watching this other one called Gangsta.
Love Gangsta.
Man.
Yeah, I haven't finished that one, but that one is super good.
Yeah. And then I also watched Chainsaw Man like all the way through and just loved that. That was good. Chainsaw Man.
No, Midsaw Man.
Oh, Midsaw Man? You didn't like it?
Because it was mid. Like I love the manga for it. The manga for it is pretty solid, but the actual anime, it was right. It was okay.
Yeah, when I liked the music, I liked the action sequences. I thought some of the actual dialogue where he's just pretty much just horny the whole time was like a little like pointless. It didn't really have much motivation. Like that's really motivated you to kill the world. Like
that's it.
Okay. Like it lost a little bit of that, but also like the thing with him and his dog was like pretty cool. And also I kind of liked him just being so expendable. Like he doesn't matter. He doesn't count. He's just so low. They can kill him tomorrow. Matter of fact, let's just kill him real quick. Like he's just he's like a character that really kind of has no value and he's building it throughout like the thing. I liked it. I actually fucked it. But Midsaw Man is comedy.
But the story is fire for it. They've got some good concepts, but the anime didn't stand up to the
manga.
Okay. The first episode didn't grip me, and like I'm pretty forgiving for anime. Like I generally will like watch stuff one or two up to 3 episodes to really determine if I like something or not. But the first episode, everybody was so much hype around it, and I went and I watched it, and I was like, he's so thirsty. It was his desperation turned me off, and I just had zero respect for him as a character. And I was like, dog, I don't want to watch. If you're gonna be like this the rest of the show, I don't want to watch this.
It doesn't change.
Like,
it turned me off. I was like, nah. I was like, Pachita's cute. I like the little demon, but it's not enough for me to keep watching it. So
yeah, and my last quick hitter. You mentioned a new project. Is there anything that you can tell us about it before we get out of here?
Yeah, I have a new album that I'm actually going to do the final mixes on today. Once it's turned in, I'll announce it to everybody. But the basis of it is like, it is an album for nerds. Like, it's just bars about video games and video game music and samples and love. Like, that's it. That's the thesis of it. Love, vulnerability, nostalgia, video games, loving yourself, accepting yourself, being the biggest nerd you can be. Well, like, yeah. And it's my favorite. I listened to it last night all the way through, and it's my favorite album that I think I've ever made.
Okay. That's what's up.
I look forward to getting a chance to listen to it. I'll make sure we spin it at one of our Blerd parties.
Let's do it.
For sure. Do we have time for me to ask one last question?
Yeah, hit it.
Okay, and this is a personal question, and you kind of walked into it. So, if this newest album is about love, do you have love in your life? Like, you know.
Do I have people that love me? Yes. Are there people that I love? Yes. But when it comes to like an intimate relationship of love, I don't.
So if all the ladies out there listening, he's single. Yeah.
Go down to the DM.
Yeah, goes down to the DM.
Are the DMs
open? Business. Come say hi.
All right. So
thank you, Kyle. I thoroughly appreciate your time. This was dope. We hope to talk to you again more, because I'm sure the way my brain works and the way that I connect to your music, I'll have more questions for you by the time I'm done listening to the album.
For sure. I can't wait for this album drop.
Yeah, we'll come back. Thank you for your time today, yo. Later, y'all.